The reason why I'm taking the Z out just for a spin isn't for a particular joyride. It's because I'm actually about to do an oil change in the Z. Now, I'm not one to record an oil change video for YouTube or anywhere on the internet or even discuss oil changes at all, because you know what happens once you put oil change stuff up on the internet? Nothing but drama. That's right, all the crybabies come out and tell you you're doing it wrong. And I mean, oil change is like the biggest, nastiest way to open up that can of worms on the internet. Just simply talk about how you change oil, and people are just going to tear you apart.
1 hour later.
Hey, welcome back everybody to another exciting midday Q&A. Pretty much just a lot of updates this week. Taking a Z out right now, just between rain. It's been pouring all week long. Actually, for the last couple weeks, it just seems like every time I want to go outside and work on something, it rains again. And that's normal for this season, to have like rain consistently for a long period of time versus the summertime where we just have these stints that come and go. But oh crap, I thought I was going to get that green light. I still might make it. Anyways, just constantly raining. I just keep wanting to work on stuff, and it just doesn't seem to work out that way. Luckily, we've been able to get some videos in, working with Bee to get her stuff up and get her Carmen Gia together. And we'll probably see an Aislinn oil change video on her motorcycle just the same. But the reason why I'm taking the Z out just for a spin isn't for a particular joyride. It's because I'm actually about to do an oil change in the Z. Now, I'm not one to record an oil change video for YouTube or anywhere on the internet, or even discuss oil changes at all, because you know what happens once you put oil change stuff up on the internet? Nothing but drama. That's right, all the crybabies come out and tell you you're doing it wrong. And I mean, oil change is like the biggest, nastiest way to open up that can of worms on the internet. Just simply talk about how you change oil, and people are just going to tear you apart. Even if you're right, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to find some reason why you're wrong, or is going to tell you you torqued your drain plug to 1 foot-pound too little, or maybe foot-pounds aren't metric, so we're scumbags here in America for not using the metric system. There's always some kind of reason that somebody wants to bitch at you, and oil change video isn't something I'm interested in doing in a modern car. On a Volkswagen, I'll do it. But on a Volkswagen, things are unique and things are a little bit different. It's not like a typical car. We don't have filters on an old Volkswagen engine. There is an oil sump strainer, which you don't have to clean every time you change the oil. But again, that's subject for another time. As of today, what we're doing is just getting the Z oil changed, and we're just going from there. This guy in front of me is going to drive me nuts. Go way to the right before making a left, and then stopping an excessively long amount of time at stop signs where there's nobody coming. Maybe he's playing with his phone, I don't know. Anyways, continuing on our way here, just trying to get the Z nice and hot, trying to get the oil flowing, trying to get all the debris and crud that's floating around in the oil to actually be suspended in the oil before I dump it out. Again, just because I said that alone, now I'm going to catch a whole lot of drama and flack here on the internet just for saying, oh, you should change the oil cold, you stupid bastard. There's always somebody that's going to tell me I'm wrong. Anyway, I've also got some detergents and things that are in there, also cleaning stuff out, so I'm letting it cycle through. And I don't know, just give it a drive for about 20-30 minutes at some different speeds, and just keep it going, and it should be good. Coming up, I mentioned Aislinn's oil change video on her Honda Rebel. That's right, she's a motorcyclist. She's got a bike. She rides. We'll be changing oil in that. We're also going to finish up Bee's brakes coming up there on her Karmann Ghia, so that way we have a proper rolling chassis. Once that's assembled, we can put the wheels and tires on, and the car is ready to go back on the ground. We do need to mount some seats in it, which is something that she mentioned in the last video. That was something I haven't gotten around to yet. I kind of forgot about it. But because the seats are from a Honda Prelude, which, by the way, they fit in there beautifully, but because they're from a Honda Prelude, the mounts are all different. So I'm going to have to make some custom brackets and get that set up, which isn't a big deal to me. Just some angle iron, a couple drilled holes here and there, weld a few things, bolt a couple things, and in they go. And whatever it is that we're going to do, I'm going to make sure they're mounted in such a way, because she's tall with long legs, and that's one of the problems in a Karmann Ghia is you're so damn close to the steering wheel. It's just really bad, especially seeing as how it's an old classic car. In the event you did get into an accident, there's no such thing as airbags in there, and you don't want to be too close to that steering wheel. Anyway, we got that coming up. I'm also going to be discussing Project Binky, and that's from Bad Obsession Motorsport, I believe it is, up on the internet there, up on specifically YouTube, I should say. They've been working on their project, I think, about the last 8 years. Project Binky is an Austin Mini, and I love Austin Minis, really I do. Really I do. A lot of people have been comparing Eleanor to their Austin Mini, the Project Binky project, and yes, I have been following it. People have been asking me about that for years. It's crazy how much people have asked me about it, and I've never once addressed it in any of my videos. And I think I finally need to come up with some answers as to what I'm doing and how I compare to that project, because people want to, as of lately, compare me to them a lot. And I don't understand why, and maybe I'm complimented, I should be complimented, because they have a very, very professional shop, a lot of nice tools, and have made some really beautiful progress on an old car that was very rotten, not nearly as rotten as Eleanor was. Eleanor was actually collapsing under her own weight and literally broke in half. This Project Binky didn't quite do that. But nonetheless, I will be talking about their project, my project, and how the two of them compare. And I don't think that we are at all in the same league. Those guys are so far ahead of me in a lot of different respects. But at the same time, I took on a project that was just a sloppy mess. That was worse than anything that they did, and got a lot more done in a lot less time. But they're also professionals working in a shop, and they have regular day jobs. Me, I'm just a hobbyist piddling around doing stupid things with garbage parts that are laying around and cutting up appliances. So anyway, we're going to talk about them in a future video and compare them to Eleanor and even Gregory the bus. People have been asking, so I figured it was time to address that. I've also got to work on my motorcycles soon. The SV650, I pulled the battery out of it for the Doodle Bastard about a year ago, and I have not ridden the SV650 since. I have drained the gas from the gas tank, so it's probably not cruddy, and I ran it dry, so that way the carburetors don't have any fuel in it. They're just maybe just little piddles in the bottom of the bowls. But I don't see any reason why the SV650 shouldn't start by just putting the battery back into it, putting a fresh tank of gas in it, and it'll probably just crank right up. That bike has been good many times. It's sat idle before for long periods of times, and it never really gave me any grief. The only problem I ever had with it was a starter solenoid went bad once, and that's the radar detector, by the way, you guys. They have this stupid school things up here, and for some reason, even when they're not displaying numbers anymore, there's still the radar goes off on them. That's like a new thing. For some reason, the entire city has been doing that. That the radar is on full time, even though the sign is not. So anyway, yeah, we're going to be fixing up the SV650. I went and tried to start the Ninja 250 the other day, and the battery in that's been dead again. I haven't ridden that even in, about 3, 4, 5 months, and the battery was kind of weak then. I had to charge it up to get it started, and I try to run it regularly, but it will not hold a charge no matter what I do. So that needs a new battery replacement, so I'll take a trip over to D&D Cycles, which, by the way, we just passed them a minute ago, and pick up a battery from them. They're always really good people in there, and I'm always happy to see them. You probably saw the tech session video from last week. Sean, the guy with the beard that I insulted about Harley engines, comparing them to Volkswagen engines, he actually is a former mechanic over there at D&D Cycles. Not that he had any problems with D&D, he just moved on to a different career choice. He manages a marina, which I thought was kind of interesting, but boats were always, near and dear to his heart, and that's what he does. He actually lives on some kind of a small yacht of his own, which I find kind of fascinating. Not something that I would ever consider doing. Number one, I get seasick really bad, so I don't think that's a good idea. But he seems to like it. So as long as he's happy, I'm happy, and everybody's happy. Well, what else do we have coming up? Few people have said, hey, Duckman, you don't do solo videos anymore. And that's kind of true. I mean, I'm doing a solo video right now. I did a solo video about a week ago also when I did a driving video. I did a solo video working on the bus a couple weeks ago. I still have solo videos, and they're very much the same old stuff that I used to do. The only difference is now I have a helper, and not just one helper, but I have several helpers. There's only 2 in particular that you've seen on camera as of recent. But that will be changing also. You'll be seeing more of them. But yeah, I will be doing some more Gregory videos solo on my own. I should have some more time coming up this coming week to be able to perform some more tasks and get some more body work done on him. I have to get a garage tent for them also. I've also been asked a lot of questions about my Harbor Freight garage tents and what I thought of them. And I got to say, they're real pieces of crap because the hurricane blew them away after, they were outside almost 7 years. So I don't think 7 years is long enough lasting. I mean, they're absolute pieces of garbage just for the wind to be able to pick them up and put them in the trees after 7 years of them sitting outside in direct Florida sunlight. 7 years is all I got out of them. What garbage. So, I've got a couple of new garage tents I got to assemble also. There'll be videos of that. I'll probably have Aislinn and or B help me with them. I can put them together in just a couple hours. They go up pretty quick. But I need to put the fastback back inside of a proper garage tent. I need to get Gregory sheltered properly again. And with all the rain that we've been having, now would be the great time to have shelters on these things again. But they need to last me just long enough to be able to get me through another summer season. And then to whenever it is, I'm going to start building my shop. I've still been looking at some property. You remember in the last video I went and looked at some property. I checked out a couple other things. I found 25 acres somewhere else, which also happens to have a water feature, another little river running through it, which is kind of fascinating that I keep finding so many of these. I don't need a water feature like that. They're not in low-lying areas per se. They just happen to be close to where the water would run through, but not actually in a low spot all on their own. So there's plenty of high and dry area for me to build something for automobile work. because you don't want to have cars too close to the water. I don't want to put anything that's close to the ocean, because that's, of course, what happened to Eleanor when the Gulf came up during Hurricane Ivan in 2004. Eleanor was submerged under seawater, about 6 feet of it, and then actually smashed into the side of the garage, which is what crushed in the hood and the front apron on that car, and that's why that was all mangled. Then it was left outside for many years to rot because the previous owner at that time just gave up on it, I guess, and just kind of left it outside. But that's the story on Eleanor. Shop, I mean, if I make it through this summer and keeping those cars dry, that's going to be great. But I have to get more things out of my garage, because Earl had said that Eleanor could be finished as soon as April, and here we are now halfway through February, so that's only 2 months off, maybe 2.5 months if he stretches it to the end of the month. But I'm not holding him to it, because I have a lot of my own problems, but I really would like the car to come home. But in order to get it home, it's got to live in the garage, which means that I got to clear a lot of junk out of the garage, and I have so many tools in there and so many things that need to go somewhere. I have short timer syndrome at this point. I'm not doing a whole lot about keeping things too tidy, because I have so much that I've taken out of my dad's garage, so many tools and things that are good. People keep telling me, don't get attached to anything. I'm like, these are tools. These are things that are older than I am. These are things that I grew up using, working on my own bicycle and my mopeds, and even my first cars. These are things that I'm familiar with, and a lot of these tools are older than I am, and they're still here. That just tells you something about the quality of them, considering my dad was a professional mechanic and body man, and those tools have lasted him, having used them every day, for every day of my life, plus then. So that's just incredible to me, and I can't throw that stuff away. I just can't. Absolutely cannot. I mean, there's just thousands, or maybe even tens of thousands of dollars of useful tools. In addition to that, more welding supplies. There was a lot of metalworking stuff, body hammers, just you name it. There's just so much, and I can't see myself just throwing it away or selling it, or yeah. It has to come home, and it has to all stay with me, and it has to be used by me. I mean, I have to, I guess, respect the legacy. I mean, it's not garbage, and I just can't let it go. Now, a lot of things I did let go. You should have seen the size of the dumpster that I filled up at Dad's house. We got a massive dumpster up there, and just started throwing things away, things that were of non-sentimental value, things that were not of any use, and stuff that we couldn't sell. And we filled that thing, and I think it was about 12 tons of trash. It was a lot, just so much, and so much more than I expected it to be. I was just going to start loading a 4x8 trailer and taking a haul to the dump, a couple times a day. And had my brother not have recommended the dumpster, I don't know that would have been quite as fast as a process, because everything was just so easy. Just slam dunk it right into the dumpster. And then finally a truck just came and towed it away. And, well, that worked out good. I mean, it was really hard going through all of Dad's stuff, That's just, that's a part of life. Being the firstborn, it was my responsibility to take care of Dad's life and wrap everything up. Yeah, it was hard. It's still hard, and still not done. Still fighting with the probate courts and everything else, and the whole Wuhan flu is keeping people out of the courthouse and stops people from answering phones. So that process is taking a lot longer than it should. And here we are, we lost Dad in August, and it's already February, 5 months later, and we still don't have the paperwork through the court system. It's just... I don't know what to say. If it could have gone through the local court system here in Pensacola, my lawyer said it wouldn't have been so bad. It would have gone right through. It would have been done with. But because it's in a remote county, we got to do everything their way. And that county is just me having lived there before. I know how just people are. There's just the total Florida fuck you attitude, and I notice this particularly on the west coast of Florida. From Tampa and south. And the further south you go on the west coast, the worse people get as far as just being selfish, difficult, criminal, drug-headed, and I'm not saying everybody's that way. They're not. But generally, when you start seeing things happening, it's like, why are those people that way? And in the time that I lived there, I'm glad that I had moved away, because everything grew up entirely too fast. the population outgrew the police force, it outgrew the fire department, and it's just everything just, it was a tax on the infrastructure because there's just too many people, way too many people. The little town that I moved into was about 5,000 people when I moved there, and nowadays I think it's like closer to 100,000. It's total insanity. When I moved there, it was just a little redneck town, you know, a few retirees and German immigrants, and it's just totally gone to pot. It's just totally gone to pot. It's not at all like it once was. But anyway, I digress. Got a lot more videos coming up, a lot more things to talk about. I hope that you guys aren't getting too bored by listening to me in this video here. Let's see, we're going to get over this way because over here we have a higher speed road. I want to get up some throttle and get this engine a little hotter than it is. I guess that's about it for today. Yeah, something else I wanted to remind myself of that I wanted to talk about. My 3D printer. I've been practicing a lot more with Blender. For those of you that don't know what Blender is, it's a 3D imaging program, kind of like CAD design. It's not actually CAD, but it's like CAD. And you could create your 3D models in there, and then you can export them and send them off to the 3D printer to be, built, essentially, or printed, as they say. And I've made just so many things in the last few weeks. The more I study the software, the more I like it. And this microphone that I'm speaking through right now, I have an overabundance of these batteries because I bought a card that had all the little like watch battery sizes on it. And there was about a dozen different batteries that I have something... There's about a dozen different batteries that are on that card that I don't have something that they fit in. They're all the same voltage. They all, push 3 volts, but they're a little bit smaller than the standard battery, which I think is an LR44 that goes into the microphone that I'm using. But they do produce the same voltage, but they're a slightly smaller diameter, but they're the same thickness. So I produced a little spacer, a little ring that allows me to put the battery into it and then slide it down into the slot. And of course, my phone's going to go off now while I'm recording the video, but they're just going to have to wait. Oh, it's Decklid Don, as a matter of fact. You saw Decklid Don on the last video for tech session where he didn't want to sell me any Decklids. He wants to just let them sit and rot in the weather instead. And that might even be what he was calling me about, but we'll get back with that. Anyways, right over here we're going to hit some high speed. Get up to some highway speed over here. Get the engine a little hotter. I put it in a lower gear on purpose just to get the RPMs up. And of course, as a result, you get the temperature up too. There we go. It says 45, but it goes up ahead here. Anyways, likey you guys, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to plug that dingle belly that we get updates every time I upload a video. Check out duckshit.net for all my different social media links. Thanks you guys so much for watching, and we'll be back hopefully on Wednesday with a new tech video over on DuckmanCycles. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.